Hi. Okay, how are you guys today? Let me scoot up a little bit because I'm not where I need to be. Okay. How are y'all? Okay, so by request, someone asked me to decode Coachella, Kanye, the service, and all that kind of good stuff. So let me get into it. I'll wait for a few more people to arrive. Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Um, how are y'all? Okay. So, well, the first thing I obviously noticed is that it was on top of a hill outside, um, a grassy hill out in the open, and they were on the top of the hill. And um, if you read, if you've read the Book of Enoch, it talks about hills and mountains and such things like that. So, hills represent a steady frequency that is not up and down, but more like, you know. And if you look on the electromagnetic spectrum, the difference between different types of frequencies are shown. Lower frequencies are more jagged, like mountains and valleys, and higher frequencies are more like hills. Okay, so that's one thing. And plus, he was above everyone else. So there's where that hill comes in. Now, the circle was obviously a sun symbol where he had all the instruments in the middle, and then around it were the singers and um, you know, the choir. And when you had the aerial view, it was a sun sign, a circle with a circle or a dot in the middle that represents the sun. Um, Also, a lot of people were saying it looked like an eye as well. Um, and so it also represents, the third eye activation and everything like that. Especially with this new sun and things coming in. So they made sure that if you watched it and streamed it live, that you could only see through this circle, like, and then the rest was dark. So they made sure that you understood this was about the sun, not religion, not anything else. But they kept panning up to the sun with the camera so that you could see the sun. And then um, they all wore the purple Yeezy um, outfits. And purple, usually in Catholic Church, the priest wears purple on Easter. And it also represents, rising, ascending, you know, um, your pineal or your third eye activation, your your uh your third eye chakra. So that's also what it means, like awakening, waking up, you know, understanding what's happening in the world. So the songs, of course, all have different meanings, but the ones that stood out the most were some of the newer songs. And those were more of the message filled songs like Water and We Have All We Need. So I'll start off with the We Have All We Need. He was talking about, everything that he and the people that was surrounding him basically needed, they already have to survive. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing else. So, that's code for I have the DNA, I have whatever I need, I'm good, I'm not worried about a thing. Um, the the individual people that came that were like guest appearances, like DMX, Chance the Rapper, and a few other people, but um, was an added bonus. But then the song Water was very, very coded because it's saying we are 90% water, and that's so true because in science, people will say, oh, you're only 65 to 70% water. da 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 da, but that's not true. Um, if you decode what water really is, as according to the book of Enoch, it is now this is going to get where a lot of science is going to come in, but I marked the page. It's 55 if you have this book. Go from 53 to 55. Okay. So if you have this book, the Book of Enoch by R.H. Charles, this is starting on page 53 up into 55. So water, as described in the Book of Enoch, would represent soul, like a soul, versus a spirit. So when you are in the mother's womb, you're in water. You're in like the ocean or the abyss. And as all babies are. Then when you're born, the fire and the light, the fire, the temperature of your nose, your brain, the electromagnetic frequency of your body determines when you take your first breath of air whether you will receive a soul or not. That's in the Book of Enoch. This is not me. This is in the Book of Enoch. If you break down science. So according to the electromagnetic frequency, the chemistry, and things like that, when you take your first breath, the combination of plasma, water, and your frequency will determine your vibration and whether or not you will get a soul. So the water comes in, the water in the air. The water in the air comes in and determines whether you get that soul or not. So the frequency of the person or the baby will determine if they get a soul or just a spirit. All of them have spirits, but that extra oomph is what the water will give you. And so when he was saying we are 90% water, it represents, our soul. Okay. So it describes, you're going to have to be like an anatomy. You have to know anatomy. You're going to have to know science in order to really decode this. This is why so many people don't understand this book. So when they talk about, I think it's on page, is it 55? Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, so when they talk about on page 53, when they start going into Behemoth and Leviathan, and they're calling them two monsters, they're speaking about places in your body, organs in your body. Okay, so the Behemoth would represent the lungs, and Leviathan would represent the uterus. So read it and break it down. If you're a nurse or if you took any type of anatomy, you'll understand and be able to decode the symbolism. Okay, the lungs were called the garden. Yeah, and then it talks about paradise. Paradise represents the brain, and the way to paradise is through the nose. So the nose also has a lot to do with whether or not you get the soul or not, because of certain shapes and functions of certain shapes and noses. So if y'all know what I'm saying, there are certain types of noses that heat air up, and there are certain types of noses that cool air off. And that's why you see in the ancient Egyptian carvings, you always see one of the gods with an ankh to one of the pharaoh or queen's noses, They're always putting that unk up to someone's nose that represents the plasma or the soul of either a deity or another soul that wants to come in and live through that person. So water is the indicator of who gets a soul. And once you get the soul, you must maintain a pH, or you must keep your body hydrated in order to maintain. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of people are attacking many people through food, medicine, um, you know, things that go into your body. Why a lot of people are suffering cancer and stuff because their pH in their body is off because they don't get enough water. So water is very important. I always drink water. And if you read the book of Enoch, you'll understand also why people were making fun of their Kanye West outfits and clothes because they were so huge. Well, they're filling the clothes of giants. They're filling the clothes of their ancestors. They're walking in their ancestors' footsteps, who were giants. And when I say giants, I don't mean like, these horrible creatures that they're talking about. I mean giants as far as influence, talent, wisdom, vibration, So it talks about, how people had great skill and things like that. So the baggy clothes that Yeezy designs represents that giant pair of shoes to fill, or that giant shirt to fill, or that giant place that we now have to fill. Okay. Yeah. So that's my breakdown. And then at the end, when they all left, when they all left, the circle was gone. So they're exiting, and then the sun is then gone. So that also represents them and us leaving that sun and going to another place. Also a lot of people were saying, oh, well, April 23rd is supposed to be the rapture or the end of the world or whatever. And people kept asking me about what do I think about that. And I'm like, to me, raptured, there's a song by, Anita Baker, Rapture, caught up in the rapture of love. If your heart chakra is open, you're going to experience a lot of different things versus the people that aren't, don't have the open heart chakra. You're just going to be on a different plane of existence. Like their struggles you will never see. You know what I mean? Their problems you will never have. Things like that. So if y'all ever watched that show on HBO called The Leftovers, thank you, Kristen. When there was a rapture of some sort on that TV show and they went to a whole different dimension, if you notice, the people that didn't go, a lot of the people that didn't go were angry or doing something wrong that they felt guilty about or upset about, or they were yelling or something, or they were feeling bad about themselves or unhappy. A lot of those people didn't go because their heart chakra was locked down, basically. So if you haven't seen that show, they might still have the reruns on HBO or whatever. But if you really think about it, most of the people that didn't go were not happy, or their heart chakras weren't open. So they could have been doing the worst things of the worst. They could have been criminals. They could have been what can be considered bad people. But if their heart chakra was open, they went to the next plane of existence. You know what I mean? And so the whole show, they were trying to figure out why certain people went and why other people didn't, even though they were good and in the church and all this kind of stuff. It had nothing to do with that. It only had to do with their heart chakra being open. Thank you, Modest Kim. So, right now, okay, so the Kanye West Coachella performance, I'm sure a lot of people watched it. But I think it was kind of cool that it was on Easter as well. East Star, Ishtar, the sun. That's basically what Easter is, the sun. And also Ishtar and also fertility and spring and all that kind of stuff. So it's he did it outside, not on a stage, because the true original church is the person or the people. It's not a building. That's why you see all these church fires and mosque fires, because it's not a building. Okay, it's not a building. That's why they're destroyed. Like this is not what I call it. This was always going to happen. It's already written that all the churches will be destroyed and rebuilt. So the churches all burning and being destroyed is trying to tell you that's not the church. Okay, a church is a person, because it used to be temple. Okay, a temple is a body. So people are doing everything backwards and wrong. You're going to a building thinking that you're doing something, but you're doing nothing but exactly what they tell you not to do. Okay. So if you're a true Christian or a true believer in the Bible or the ancient texts or whatever, I mean, look, did they ever have a place of worship in ancient Kemet? Did they go to a building and bow down to anything? Think about this. None of the ancient people went inside of a building. Yeah, it's the temple of man. Exactly. So the churches are not serving the correct purpose, and they're just exactly the opposite of what they should be. So that's another reason why they were outside on top of a hill, out in the open sun, because that's exactly what every church and most religions worship: nature in the sun. Okay. Um, so if you think about it, it's the very opposite of what a temple or a church really is. A church, like, you have a building that's outside, that's inside, shielding you from the elements, have these stained glass windows to protect you from the sun getting in to you. You know, they've put up false images and then give you a person to tell you something that you're supposed to be reading or knowing yourself. So it's the exact opposite of what enlightenment is and what the temple really is. The temple is your body. So that's why you're seeing a lot of these things being destroyed, because they're trying to wake people up. It's no, like, to me, when I see a church, and I have nothing against people that don't understand this, but with my level of consciousness now, when I see a church, I just see, a lot of people being misguided, not knowing what's real and, what's not. But, people have to come out of that on their own. I don't agree with the harming of people, but I do agree with that the body is the true temple, you know. Right. There were temples that Jews studied in the Torah, yet our temple is our body in the God He is risen. Yeah. Um, so, we didn't really celebrate Easter. We didn't do any eggs, we didn't do any egg hunts. And it's not because it's not fun or anything. It's because, first of all, we don't eat eggs anymore. Second of all, my kids are too old to be looking around the backyard for some eggs. So basically, we just stayed home, watched TV, and ate, and just had, watched TV and had fun. But went outside in the backyard, um, took the cat outside because she's an inside cat, gave the cat some sun, you know, but that's basically it. I got to eavesdrop on the neighbor and their family issues when they were talking on the phone, but that's pretty much it. Right. So do you have any questions about the service? Maybe something I missed that you want me to look deeper into? Um, mhm. If you go on Instagram and follow Kanye West Sunday Service, they post all of like the background happening. So you'll see Kim and the kids and all their family if you go follow Kanye West Sunday Service on Instagram. They showed all the background of what was going on. Um, right. Yeah, there were no fake clouds in the sky yesterday either, but now there are a lot. Do you think there's a future without religion? Most definitely. It says it in the book of Enoch that religion will be gone. There will be no more religion after the generation after this one. So the generation after our children will have no more religion. So the generation after Layla and Sasha will not be religious at all. Hmm. Right. Thank you, JML. Can you talk a little about DMX Prayer, the song Ultralight Beam? Yes. So ultralight beam represents a gamma ray, and it represents a frequency, and it represents the ability to it's light, and it represents the ability to leave the earth and come into the earth and also control the weather on the earth. So again, it's based in water. You can't get an ultralight beam without it being activated by water. And also, to me, it represents a dream or a state of consciousness that we're still in that will wake up eventually and understand what all this really means. DMX was basically, his prayers are very coded in as far as, he was talking about the heart, judges by our hearts, heart chakra. Hmm. So, yeah. How can you teach your kids? How can I teach kids not to buy into religion while they are young? Don't teach them about religion. I didn't teach mine about religion. Um, like Sasha and Layla have no idea. They don't even know the story of Noah's Ark, believe it or not. Thank you, Jess B. UTV. Love your perspective. Thanks. But their parents do. Well, that's up to their parents. Hopefully, their parents will wise up, or the children will be wise enough to when they get older to just not really buy into it. Because like I didn't buy into it. My mom was religious. I'm not religious. The only good thing about what how religious my mom was is that I was so against it that I started to try to decode it because it could not be any truth to half the stuff that's in there. It had to be metaphor. So the only thing that kind of helped me was to not believe it so much that I found metaphor in it. Right. Show official documents dropped by WikiLeaks founder Homeland Security say they own religion. Oh yeah. Well, religion is man-made. We all know that. Thank you. Right. Teach them to think for themselves. What do you believe happens when you die? Where do you go? There's a very scientific aspect to that, and it depends on who you are Depends on where you go and what you know. It's your level of vibration that depends on where you go. Um, yeah, there's a whole book about it. It's like what really happens when you die, the scientific cosmic aspect. As far as religions, what's your opinion on scientific principle of Earth, the universe, and the Quran? Um, for me, everything is science, spirit, soul, like the energy, your electricity. A soul would represent a program or your personality or your ability to do certain things or an app. You know what I'm saying? You can turn on an iPhone. If it doesn't have any apps on it, you can't really do nothing, or you can only do certain things that come with the phone. But a soul would represent an app or a program or a specific program. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just explaining it in technology terms, but it's more of a spiritual thing. So that's what that's how I feel. It's just, and the whole mission on Earth was for everyone to get a soul. And in order for everyone to get a soul, um, different people would have to merge together and become one as far as, creating children. And that's where that comes in. And that's why the book of Enoch was removed. They met in France, I think it was Nice, France, deciding what books would stay in the Bible, what books would come out. This was the one that came out, one of the ones that came out, but they kept it in the Ethiopian Bible. But this book in particular was taken out for a reason. They did not want people to know those things. Gospels of Thomas as well, yes. So while people are, going about their lives not knowing this entire time they were all supposed to become one people, they kept themselves separate. And then when the time came to start moving in a different direction or in a different frequency, there's going to be a whole lot of people that aren't going to be prepared because of the information taken from them in their religion, or just even in general. It wouldn't even have to be religion. These were texts. There were no rules to a religion included with these texts. That was man-made. These texts are old and ancient and derived from Sumeria and Kemet, and then rewritten to inform, in different ways and with different people. But the information was still there and they hid it. And so since they hid it, now it's almost like, okay, well, why did they hide it? Did they not believe it? Did they want, what was the reason for hiding it? That's my question. What was the reason that they didn't want everyone to ascend? Maybe it's because the people that don't ascend or die will remain under other people's influence and power on a lower plane. I don't know. Because if everyone got to have, the same abilities after death, who would be on the earth? Who would be left to control? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Right. Tell them you don't discuss religion and politics. Oh, y'all are talking to each other. So yeah, control. For me, knowing all of this, I was watching some older videos, and when people study older things and think, oh, there were these beings that were more spiritual that had to vibrate into existence, and they had all these different abilities that they were able to use, like psychic ability, shape-shifting, all this stuff, that is said to be locked down in our junk DNA. But what they didn't tell a lot of these people is that these beings had a different electromagnetic frequency. And so, unless you have a similar electromagnetic frequency, you can't evolve or go back into that state of consciousness or DNA activation because there was a certain electromagnetic frequency that these beings had. In order for everyone to be able to have them again, everyone was supposed to be able to vibrate on a similar frequency. So, they keep leaving that little part out. They keep leaving that little part out. They keep leaving all this, one of the most important things out of everything. So you have some people that are not going to be able to vibrate on a certain frequency and become those things. Then you have people that are, but they're still asleep, and so they'll never get that activation because their consciousness is not on that level either. Okay, so a lot of people will never get it because they're not aware, and a lot of people will not get it because they don't have the frequency to get it. So the people that were, I will just say lucky, or knew it in the back of their mind, or woke up in time, I don't know, however that works out, that will be able to activate certain things, are now telling people, the formula or how you need to think or what you need to have in order to do so. Right. Thank you, JML. This is off topic, but try the black bean burrito at Taco Bell. Add avocado sub. Okay. Thank you. I need some new vegan things to eat. So thank you. I appreciate the donation too. I'll buy my black bean burrito. Yes, my book is still available. It's an ebook, y'all. It's called Turn a Curse into a Blessing. It's on Amazon.com. Just type in Turn a Curse into a Blessing, a Shira Star Goddess. It'll pop up. I just released that yesterday. And it's a lot of information on, how some people, their lives can't go right. Everything keeps going wrong. This, and that. It's telling you all the things that you need to fix, all the things that you need to do. It has a few spiritual things in there, a few spells and stuff like that. So it's an ebook. You can download it. And it's just going to help you get to that next level of thinking and frequency as well, as to get rid of anything that's coming against you. So y'all go check that out. I forgot to put the link in my description, but it's on my Amazon list of books that I've written. So just type in Ashira Star Goddess, Turn a Curse into a Blessing ebook. There you go. Okay. The possible destinations. Okay. Everyone thinks there's going to be a destination. After death, depending on who you are, your energy will either go back to another energy source, or your energy and consciousness, soul, will remain, depending on how conscious you are, will remain intact and experience itself as plasma, conscious plasma, and influence others or choose to reincarnate when it chooses to. Okay, so that's the difference. So for example, if you're very unconscious and you only have a spirit, your spirit will just probably go back to the nearest source of energy that will take it, So it could be the earth, it could be the sun, it could be something like that, because it's only animation and a little bit of consciousness. There's a little bit of memory. but it will eventually go back to the one of the nearest energy sources. Okay. So if in the book of Enoch, it talks about when he left, okay, page 53. Yeah, I think it's 53 when he talks about, maybe it's not. So it talks about when someone dies. Well, I think it was 53. Let me look at it for a second. When it talks about Noah, oh, I wrote it down. Never mind, I wrote it so I could remember because I knew exactly what I wanted to talk about. Okay, so when it says for the rain, okay, hold on. Okay, I did write the page down, I think. It says grandfather was taken up, right. Okay, here it is. When it talks about behemoth, I think it was page 55. It says, or 53, were the elect and righteous, my grandfather was taken up the seventh from Adam, the first man whom the Lord of spirits created. Okay, so I decoded this. It says, behemoth occupied his breast and waist, wilderness named Duodin. Duodin. Okay. On the east of the garden were the elect and righteous. My grandfather was taken up the seventh from Adam, the first man whom the Lord of spirits created. Now that makes no sense. That's why you have to decode it. So my grandfather was taken up from the seventh Adam, from the seventh chakra of man. Okay. So up into the first man whom the Lord of spirits created. That represents the heart chakra, the electro, because the heart is where everything starts, the electric beat, right? So up into the first man, whom the Lord of spirits. Lord of spirits represents electricity, or the scientist who gave that being an electrical or electric life or animation. Okay, could also represent um, electricity. So it was him leaving, it was his soul leaving the body through the chakra system. So it represents that soul leaving the body. And it tells you how to do this in the emerald tablets. Thoth tells you how to do this in the emerald tablets when you die. It's also the same diagram as the pyramid, and where Thoth says to lie, and in the chamber, in my chamber of the great pyramid. You know, it's representing your chakra system and your breath leaving your body. The same way you get a soul when you're born, depending on your frequency, the same way your soul leaves your body, either intact or only as a spirit going back to the Lord of spirits or electrical source from where it came. So this is not really, this is just basically science. After your spirit and soul leave your body, depending on its frequency, um, tells you where it's going to be able to go. So yeah, like Frankenstein, exactly. Frankenstein. You know how when they always bring back the living dead, Frankenstein, and doesn't have a soul? Or scientists have now said, oh, well, we can reanimate the brain after it's been dead with electricity, but it's not the same thing. You don't get a soul. So, right. So unless your frequency is of a certain level, and when the when the air and water that you breathe in and it goes down to your garden, your lungs, and through your heart frequency, determines whether you get that soul or not. You see, and so it's genetic as well. if you measure people's electromagnetic frequency, their lung capacity, the temperature of the air as it flows through their nose, through their sinus, inside their body, into their lungs, will determine if the formula creates or can get a soul. You see, that's Buddhist. What has ISIS in the word? Okay, yeah. So that's the best way I can explain it so that people can understand without using a bunch of scientific, words. It's basically the chemical, electrical frequency makeup of your body, the temperature as well determines if you get a soul or not. And all those things have to do with um, your frequency and your DNA. That's it. Should people feel guilty for what their ancestors did? I mean, you can't really help what your ancestors did, but you're supposed to right their wrongs, I believe. In the book of Enoch, it says that those who spend their time and energy doing good deeds and good things and helping people will be able to reincarnate back. They will be given, their heart frequency will open, and therefore they will at least be able to reincarnate back. You know, that's why you're seeing all the Kardashians going out to the hood and building community centers and all this kind of stuff. You watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians. They're all up in the hood now. Okay. And you know what I mean? Because you're supposed to go back and try to correct it. And your heart chakra is supposed to be open. You're really supposed to um, feel and care about those things. Because now, if you know the truth and you see how everyone was deceived, because you were deceived as much as we were deceived, as much as they were deceived. So once you get the truth, you're supposed to try to fix it, and so that everybody is happy about it, or at least their heart chakras are open about it. Yeah. Um, Kardashians are now doing what Nipsey was doing. Exactly. I'm not even lying too. I don't even watch that show. But one day I was just going through the channels and I stopped on there because I saw them like in the hood. And I'm like, what are they doing in the hood? What is this? So I stopped, and they were building community centers. They were donating a bunch of money. They were doing all this kind of community work and blah 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 blah. And so I was like, oh wow, who'd have thought? And Kim's always saying, well, Kanye said he grew up in Chicago and all these people kept getting killed and because they didn't have a safe place to go. So we want to help build community centers and change everything, as much as possible that we can change. Da, 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 da. So that's what they were doing. Hmm. So that's one way to kind of get your next incarnation in a body with a soul, or more of a soul. I don't know. Um, it is. Kim K is studying to be a lawyer. And you know what I bet she gets old doing? Getting people out of jail that were falsely accused. Like she got that lady out of jail, Miss Johnson or whatever her last name was. She got that lady free from jail, the black lady. So that's probably what she's gonna go start doing when she get old. Once you get past a certain age, you can only do use your looks for so long. Then you got to do something else that's gonna help you, spiritually. So I think that's what she plans on doing, like representing people that can't afford to represent themselves, or probably get people out of prison that were falsely accused and stuff like that. I kind of think that's where she's going. And also helping people not get into stupid contracts. you know, right. Spirits can be broken souls. Can't, right. So another thing, like a lot of these people that want to remain and not ever leave Earth or whatever, want to rule the Earth, those are the people that you hear about people talking about in like Hollywood and stuff, eating children, doing sacrifices and all this kind of stupid stuff. They know they're not really going anywhere. They don't want to go anywhere. They want to stay here. You know, s- uh, some of them have enough energy to just be reborn back into their own bloodline. And because they have certain DNA that they stole in order to just accomplish that on Earth. And that's what they try to rule. And that's the only thing they can rule, the physical plane. The spiritual plane is not ruled by any of those people. And now that so many people are waking up, all of that is being exposed. And so it no longer has the control that it used to have, which is going to be frustrating. And once there are not enough people to control anymore, um, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to them. Maybe they'll change their whole mind and try to do right. I don't know, but at the end of the day, there's less and less people to control. Right. Um. Right. Yeah. I'd like we like if I were gonna say high priestess, if I was gonna say something like God, I would never see that as a singular being. I would see that as a frequency. Like on a Kanye West song, this is a God dream, the ultralight beam. It's a frequency, you know, it's a frequency. It's what they call God frequency. It's just a frequency that if you're on, then you are like that being, or you're a godlike being, right? It's not a person. There's not one person, there's not one person's consciousness. There's not any jealousy in a frequency. It's just a vibration. So if you're going to pray to a personality or a person, not personalized or a personified deity, that's an idol. And your own Bible says not to worship idols. So it is a frequency, right? When Ashura, how do you feel about Michaela Pink using you to make all that money? I don't think anyone's using me. I actually am happy that my friend Michaela is getting paid because that's what we're all supposed to do, you know. On my frequency, I want to see people rise. I don't see competition. I don't see people using other people, especially if they're friends and also since, we're doing the same thing on the same mission, you know. Thank you, Love Infinite. What do you think about Ayashu? Well, I don't even know what that is. I know what DMT is. I know the Ayashua or whatever that how you pronounce it. I can't pronounce it. I don't use any of that. You're supposed to be able to vibrate that naturally once you get a certain level of consciousness. I mean, I'm sure it can help you see things, but I have never tried it, and I'm not even curious about it. But thank you so much for that donation. Um, so if I'm on the same mission as my friend and she's also prospering, then I did my job. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad that people want to come in between other people that are doing well and supporting each other. It's sad that people want to do that. So for me, I'm on a whole different frequency. I don't do that pettiness. I don't do that jealousiness. I don't do that stupidity. And when people try to come in with it, I just look at them stupid. Okay. We're on the same mission, baby. So we're supposed to be successful. All right. Thank you. Future signed over his son to Russell Wilson to raise. Good. Um. Anyway, we all came to win. Exactly. We can all win. There's no competition. There's only a frequency. If you get on the frequency of winner, you all win. Just because y'all can't, some of y'all can't reach it, the jealous people can't reach it, that's because you haven't found your niche. Go find your niche and reach it. Okay. So that's what it's all about. Get on that frequency. Would you say God is a spirit? Can you explain worshiping deities, why people do it? Okay, so God is a frequency, not a spirit. Um, in order for the story to keep going, you have to give people something to relate to. And what people relate to best is something similar to them. So, a personified version of a frequency would represent a way to tell a story and keep it going. But they use the correct wording or the correct symbols, you would understand that it was a frequency. See? So they had to use it for people that don't understand science to keep the story going. And so that eventually, when someone understood, they would know and realize that it is only a frequency. It's kind of like hiding um, a code in a story, and the story must remain the same, and so it can be decoded later and broken back down into the science. Right. Thank you. If you believe that God is not a spirit, you are lost. A spirit is only animation and energy. Okay, doesn't have a soul. Do you understand? A soul and a spirit are two different things. So if your God is only a spirit, wonderful. That means I am higher than your God because I have a soul. Um, if you want to break it down scientifically, and the soul is basically a higher frequency that carries a spirit. A spirit a soul is like a program. A spirit is just the electricity that opens the phone up and powers it. So if God or a frequency would be anything, it would be both, not just one. See? Um, that's what y'all like, whatever you read in your Bible, whatever you got taught in church. Remember, a lot of those books with most of the vital information were removed from your Bible. And remember, they've been keeping it a secret so that they can rule over you guys so that you could never leave. So you got to remember that. Right. And, I'm not here to change any of you guys' mind. Y'all stay where y'all need to stay. Y'all believe what y'all need to believe. I don't really care. This is for those who are asking and wondering. This is not for those who are stuck in their belief system. This is for those that want to evolve and move forward. If you are 100% satisfied with your religion, your belief, wonderful. I am so happy for you. If you're not, then this information is for you. Okay. Right. As a vegan, fish shrimp can be replaced because of the iodine needs to be eaten. Its element if the plant controlled it. I don't know. I stopped eating it because animals are also becoming more conscious, believe it or not. So they understand more than they did a couple years ago. Because as our frequency rises, so does theirs. Um, right. Okay. Well, look, whatever y'all want to believe in, please feel free. I don't want to stop anybody from believing in what they wouldn't believe in. I'm just sharing what I'm sharing. So if this video is not for you, please click off. Um, I don't really want to argue with people that are happy with their religion. Hmm. Kalisha Brown, the messy clown. Kalisha Brown, messy clown. Um, no one really is reading your comments, and they're totally funny, to say the least. But if you have an issue with somebody, maybe you should go talk to them about it. It's not my issue. I'm perfectly happy, and maybe you have the issues. Okay. Um, which ormus do you recommend for vibration elevation? My elixir, um, my vital elixir. I have this crystalline gold nano particles. I sell this on my Etsy store. It comes in a size. Look, I'm almost done. I have two of them though. I have a half size, like a half ounce, like this, and then the full ounce. And my Etsy link is below in the description box. That's the Vital Elixir, the gold Vital Elixir. I also have silver, platinum, and copper in there too. Thank you, Divinely Twisted Alchemy. I appreciate your teachings. Thank you. I appreciate your donation. Thanks for watching. Right. Please research the top ways to get your iodine. Oh, I get my iodine. I take spirulina, chlorophyll, um, L-tyrosine, omega-3, all that. I take that. Um, I'm a supplement person. I take a lot of that stuff, so I'm good. I eat salt too. Thank you. So the whole Kanye Coachella thing, going back to that, was just especially his release of that song "Water" can really take you into a deeper or higher state of consciousness as far as what water really is. You know, so page 53 to 55 in this book of Enoch. If you don't know how to decode what that is, the garden would be considered your lungs. Okay, and you have to think about science and anatomy after that point. Um, and also when it talks about when Enoch is watching the angels go out to measure. Now this part was crazy, but when the angels go out to measure and they go to the north afterwards, those are the northern lights. The angels are the plasma, like, you know, when it shows the sun and it shows like the plasma wings on the sun, like when you see a photo of the sun and you look at the electromagnetic rays that come out of it and they look like angel wings, like the Isis wings. Those are the angels. Those are the plasma, solar plasma that came into the earth to go and measure the righteous. And how they measure the righteous is they go up into their nose. As they breathe in, they go into their garden and then into paradise, or whatever. That's how it explains it in the book of Enoch. And it measures this for the future, they call it the judgment of the righteous. And it represents, if you can breathe this in and get this frequency and you're matching the frequency, then you're going to be good, because they're taking that information, because plasma, especially intelligent plasma, has intelligence. So it's taking the average temperature of righteous beings and making adjusting the temperatures and the weather and all these things of the planet for them. Okay. So that's what it's talking about. And page 55. Um, so if you break down what paradise really means, para represents disordered function of faculty, or it represents something that protects and wards off. It also represents to prepare. Okay. And dice, if you read the etymology of it, represents formation back from separation. So you're getting this um, plasma frequency intelligence coming through your nose, just like in ancient Egypt, in order to form back from the beings from which you had been separated. So the gods have returned, basically. And when you breathe in that that frequency in that air, and your temperature and frequency in your body is able to get it, then you become one with the gods again. Okay, so when it says, I'll read you the passage. Okay, so the angels then go off to measure paradise, the judgment of the righteous, but the elect one, the praise of the elect one and of God. So the elect one is the electric ones, the electric gods, the plasma gods, the conscious plasma. Okay, the paradise represents, the nose and the temperature and all that stuff. The house of the gods. That's what they used to call the nose in ancient Egypt. The dwelling place of the gods. Go look it up. The nose was seen as very sacred. The pyramid was built after the nose because it's in the shape of the nose. The nose was known as the dwelling place of the gods in Egypt. And so that's what it's talking about there. Yep. The angels represent the solar wind or the solar frequency that has come to the earth in the form of plasma. And it is in charge of the weather on the planet. So all of it is mostly science if you know how to decode. If you don't know how to decode, you'll be confused and thinking this is, all religious stuff, but it's all science. All of it is science. It's just put in code. Yeah, it's about the breath. This is probably why they cut all the noses off. Because it's the dwelling place of the gods. And the nose represents, like whenever someone breathes in, depending on where you are, where you are on the planet, your nose is shaped very different. Okay, people in hot areas have wider noses. People in colder areas have thinner noses through evolution. So through environmental adaptation, I'll say that. I won't say evolution. I'll say through environmental adaptation. So if you have a thin nose, like a thinner nose, when you breathe in air, that air gets warm because of the friction. The air warms as it goes into your brain. You have a larger nose, then the air cools as it goes into your brain. You see? So that right there is determining, like, okay, so if the earth gets very hot, let's say it gets super hot, and the earth is tilted, the axis is tilted, we get in warm weather, or hottest weather that we've ever seen in human history in Canada this summer, which is usually a cold area. And people are breathing in this hot air to their brain, and it's going to overheat and cause some type of damage, you see. But then you have people that have larger noses, then that their air is cooled before it hits their brain and their lungs. So they're getting a totally different experience. You know what I'm saying? So it's all in that book. It's all in that book. It has nothing to do with, anything. We were all supposed to be the same by now. Remember that. We were all supposed to be the same, and anyone who kept, how it says, do not change anything in this book. If you read the end of the Bible, do not take away or add or change anything to this book, or you will be dealt with. Well, they did, you see. And it's not everyone's fault because you didn't know. But it does tell you, to help righteousness and to be an advocate for truth and all that kind of stuff, and letting people know. And your heart chakra will open, which will allow you to at least be able to ascend to the next level of consciousness and learn how you can, come back instead of just being fizzled out into the next electrical source of energy, or caught up in a frequency of 5G, or caught up in you know, the electricity that powers the planet. You know what I'm saying? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. Um, right. But like I said, there are certain people that know this, and a lot of the elite millionaire, billionaire people know this. That's why you're seeing them now trying to go and do some right things, do some things that look like they're helping, or some really are helping. Some really are doing the right things, and some aren't. You're just making it look like it. So, and the reason why the Book of Enoch is now selling out, like someone told me they went to the bookstore to try to buy it, and the worker at the bookstore said everyone is coming to buy this book. We can't keep it in stock. Da 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 da. That's because everything in here is happening now. Everything. This is like, what's gonna happen tomorrow type book, right? Everything in this is happening right now in order. So a lot of people are realizing that, and they're reading it, trying to decode it, and seeing all these things coming into fruition. And it's already been known to a lot of the elites. But now that they know it more than ever, you'll see them trying to incorporate more charity. You'll see them trying to marry or date, people of color. You'll see them trying to, get in at the last minute when they knew the entire time. So that's like, it's not really going to be as beneficial as it, probably would have been if they had done something when they first knew. You know what I'm saying? No. Okay. Right. The churches were empty this Easter. I'm sure they were. Probably scared to get blown up. I haven't been to church since a funeral. Or actually, my daughter had a choir concert in a church, but it's all because they had good acoustics. But it wasn't any religious ceremonies or anything. Mm-hmm. What's the reason of the Egyptian statue nose being cut off? It all makes sense now. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. The second heaven, a place of darkness where the angels of darkness who joined with Satan. That's it. That's the inside of the earth. Those are the fallen angels that lost their melanin, that now decided to rule over the earth. that cannot return into the heavens, so they decided to keep the truth from everybody else from being able to return to heaven. Yep. And Judgment Day will basically be the measuring of the people's frequency, and the earth's climate will then adjust to the people that is more righteous on the electromagnetic frequency. See, and they use the word dark because on the left side of the electromagnetic frequency, there is no visible light. So these are invisible light beings. Their frequency is too low to be seen. Okay, so those are the dark angels. They are not in the visible light spectrum anymore, and they influence other people um, with their DNA, and they keep the truth so that they have somebody to rule over. Because if everyone mixed and they left then to another plane of existence, then these dark angels would be here alone, you see, and have nothing else but their misery, and they would probably go insane. So they need humanity to a certain degree in order to have a purpose. Right. Can we influence when the way we die? Yeah. If you read the Emerald Tablets, yes, you can. Block me, Joe. What? Right. You are a real star. Thank you. What is righteousness? It is being more on the right, like the literal right side, like the right hand side, the right side of the electromagnetic frequency spectrum. Basically, it's having a higher frequency, a higher electromagnetic frequency than the left side, which is a lower magnetic. Basically, you need some more melanin. The more melanin someone has in their skin, the higher and the more to the right they are on the electromagnetic frequency spectrum. Um, so they use colors to indicate your, like in a lot of commercials and things like that, that Amazon commercial that I decoded, they will use colors to show you your place on the scale. So anyone brown to black will have green, blue, green and blue, you know. Anyone lighter than brown or black will start to have orange, yellow, orange, and then red, then black for the lowest. So when you are righteous, you are more to the right on the electromagnetic frequency spectrum. That's it. So that's how you're going to decode that book of Enoch, because it talks about the elect, the electric one, the Lord of Spirits, the lightning, the sun. So this is all about electricity, plasma, electromagnetic spectrum, because that's what we are. If your heart stops, if your electricity in your body stops, everything else goes, you know. So we're electric animated beings, and therefore our frequency and our electricity is what makes us, or makes this physical body come alive. And so everything is based on that. Your soul and your spirit is electricity, is a frequency. It's not a physical thing. It is a frequency, and it is an energy, which is what electricity is. So if you think about it, you know, that's why they didn't want Tesla to roll out his, you know, tower that would give everybody power wirelessly, because that's what 5G is. And it would harness the spirits of the dead in order to, you know, it would suck up and use the same frequencies of the dead spirits versus, the souls. The souls would be not, caught up in that, but the spirits would. That's why they stopped him. Okay. So, and they took out a lot of the books of the Bible that were telling everybody to become one. So everybody could have a frequency more on the righteous side of the electromagnetic frequency scale. But they took that out so that they could have someone to rule over and that it would never end. It's kind of like the Matrix. Oh, once everyone escapes the Matrix, then, who will they have to rule over? That's what it's about. Okay. Lying has nothing to do with your frequency. It is your heart chakra and it is it's your color. It is your melanin on your skin that determines your frequency as well. That's just part of it. The other part is how you feel and how you're vibrating as far as your heart is concerned. Right. Right. So let's just say you're a giving person and you love everybody and your heart chakra is open. Your frequency is going to be higher than someone that looks like you whose heart chakra is not open. But then again, if you have someone with dark skin sitting next to you, their dark skin automatically makes their frequency higher because of the radiation that it absorbs from the sunlight, makes them vibrate on a higher frequency. It's all scientific, right? I want what? Right. Yeah, you can get along. You're supposed to be getting along a long time ago. Getting along, making babies, being one. Right. The summer will be crazy. Yeah. I met someone with high melanin and she be emitting hella negative energy. It doesn't energy can be positive or negative. It doesn't matter. It's the frequency is on a certain electrically. You know, you can have a powerful negative energy just as much as you can have a powerful positive energy as far as consciousness. It has nothing to do with good or bad. It's just a frequency. You know, um, just something emitting more radiation than something else. That's it. It has nothing to do with how they think or what they say. Right. But if their heart chakra is not open, let's say their heart chakra is not open, it's not going to be as high as the next person. You know what I'm saying? Right. Um, and see, y'all are thinking on the wrong scale sometimes when y'all are talking about vibrations and frequencies. Thank you for taking time to share your knowledge. Thank you, Ayala. Sometimes y'all are thinking about good and bad when it's only electricity and frequency. Sometimes, it's not about positive or negative. It's just only about that frequency and your intent. So if you're on a negative person, like just like on that show Leftovers, there were bad people and criminals that got raptured because their heart chakra was open and their frequency was high. Didn't matter if they were good or bad or negative or not. It's only about those things, those scientific things. Okay. Um, how is there's only one energy, God energy is up to us, you to perceive it in the moment. Yeah, it's in everybody. They just have to recognize it within themselves. Yeah. Um, right. What does open heart chakra mean? Lighter than a feather. It means not being angry, hateful, not holding guilt or stuff like that within, but having a lighter heart, understanding why things are the way they are. And it helps to have a lighter heart, knowing that everyone was lied to except certain elite people. So, you know, if you're existing based on a lie, you're not really even responsible for a lot of the decisions you made, but you are able to, you know, do right now knowing the truth. That's it. That's the heart chakra. Doing things for the right reason, not feeling guilty, being happy, living your life, not living in misery. Uh huh. Cindy, so dark skin rob, steal, and kill, huh? But isn't that the way this country was built? Yeah. And so, that right there brings down your heart chakra, the pointing fingers and blaming. Most of the people that did most of the wrong in the world, half of them knew, and then the other half didn't. So, maybe some people's ancestors knew, but then their children and their children's children didn't know, but they were just doing or thinking how people wanted them to think. But now that you know the truth, then you can change, then you can try to right wrongs, but it doesn't mean people are going to forget. It just means that you understand and you're no longer living in that level of not knowing something. Now you know. That's all it meant, you know. Um, every country was built that way. Yeah. How can they be blind to the harm done? I don't think that they're blind. I think that a lot of people just feel like, you know, whatever their beliefs are based off of, most of that is a lie. So if your belief system is based off lies, then sometimes those lies are seen as okay spiritually, So once those, certain books are added back into what was taken out, the truth becomes obvious, you know. It's just like when you're on Facebook and you're having an argument in the comments, and the person who posted deleted all of your comments. So now it looks just like you're the person that didn't know anything, or they only left the bad comments or part of the comments, so you don't get the entire story. And so now you have misleading thoughts about the person who commented. It's like leaving out. It's like when someone does an interview and cuts out a lot of the things that someone is saying and gives a whole different meaning than the person intended. It's kind of like that. Okay. Um, right. And right then you have to do your research, right? So they hid the truth for only the elect or the highly educated or the person well versed in science, cosmology, stuff that broke poor people would never know. Okay. Stuff that working people scratching to survive would never figure out. But luckily, some people had a strange combination of education that allowed them to see certain things and keep going. Like I was a mortician. I know anatomy, so I could see anatomy spelled out differently using different metaphors. Um, I'm very into symbols, so I know how to read symbols. I read tarot cards since I was in the third grade and interpreted symbols because I have symbolism books. Because I loved ancient Kemet and Egypt so much. I was drawn to it. So I learned a lot of symbolism. What else? Okay, so it's just a plethora of things that you must know how to decode in order to, I'm live, in order to understand how to read these things. So it's just a bunch of things. It's not like if there's not one book that will teach you that. It's just you have to have plenty of information to understand how to decode this, and you'll see it if you know it already. Right. Can't leave. Right. Hey, who you talking to the dog? I heard you talking to somebody. Um, right. Scratching to survive. Yes. Why are there so many statues of gargoyles on the around the Church of Notre Dame? Um, Gargoyles were seen to keep out what they call evil entities or spirits of the church. Um, and the funny thing is, those are mostly in Gothic churches. Right around the time they took out the Book of Enoch in the Bible, they started building all these giant cathedrals and churches and things like that. And it's to keep out um, certain energies. You know, for me, they put it on the outside to saying it's going to keep out energies and da, da, da. But to me, those were the exact energies in the church. You know, if you think about frequency, a frequency matches a frequency. It doesn't repel another. So I think it's backwards. I think they were to invite those energies in because frequency matches frequencies. And why would evil be afraid of evil? Why would evil be afraid of its brother? You know what I'm saying? Why would a creature like gargoyle looking creature not come to a building with its statue on it? I'm just being silly, but it would attract like energy versus repelling them. Okay. And I believe also churches was created to steal energy because if you get a bunch of people in one place and focus all their energy every Sunday to the sun and brainwash them and take all their energy, have access to their children, have uh, trust built on the faith of a deity instead of the person themselves. Basically, it's just an open, um, it's just a playground for evil. Okay. So just because someone says they're a man of God or a man of faith, you don't know this person, but now all of a sudden you trust your children with them. Um, Now they're asking you for tithes and offerings, so you're giving over your money to them. They put you in a building where you're shielded from the elements and the sun and nature, and they harness your energy and take it from you and repeat it on a weekly basis. So, and then they remove texts from, religious documents and books and only give you a little bit of something. And then they tell you not to question it. So then it almost becomes like a cult or a group of brainwashed zombies, easily manipulated. Right. Right. So, many people were forced to go to church as a child. Many people were forced into religion, but I think some people really understood that it wasn't correct and they got out of it. Right. hmm Right. And it comes back to them as financial gain. Exactly. The gravity. What are you talking about? Okay. There. Right, 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 right. Um, so religion is definitely a cult. Yep. And I feel like you're gonna see more and more and more of that go away, and more, spiritual things come in, or at least knowledge come in. Even now a lot of commercials are showing interracial couples. Yeah. You believe church is still energy too? You would get sick? Yep. I hate it. Oh my gosh, I don't even hate, but I hated church. It was the worst place to ever go. I would rather go to school than go to church. Now that's sad. When I was a kid, I would rather go to school. Okay. There is that, it's terrible if a kid would rather go to school. Correct. There are, your history, and to generalize Christians the same as Catholics is heresy. All of that stuff is fake. Throw in the garbage, all of it. Start over. Throw it all in the garbage and start over. Because it all got started from ancient Kemet and ancient Samaria anyway. Just throw it all in the garbage. None of that stuff is true. It's all stolen information, retold in a different story in a different way. And then, yeah, throw it all in the trash. Cool. Oh, thank you. So I don't have to hear the TV. Uh-huh. The plasma beings. The plasma beings would be the conscious spiritual energy that once were on the planet before we vibrated in a lower vibration into physical beings. Um, right. These are also known as angels, or angelic energies. You ever see, like, if you're in a dark room, you start seeing these floating colors of light that kind of look like the northern lights or whatever? You ever see that? Like when you're in a dark room, that's plasma. Hmm. Um, right, right, right. Also, the physical form of plasma is also like lightning, static electricity. Right. It's the fourth state of matter. Right, right, right. Have you read the Celestine prophecy? I've read some of it. It got too boring. I had to put it down. It got boring. I mean, to a certain extent, it was okay, but then it got boring. Um, Without melanin, you'll fry like swan. Phoenix rising. Your name is not very Christian though, which is the funny part. Like, your name is Phoenix rising, but you're not. But you're Christian. So that would that would be a pagan thing. That would be alchemy. That would be a right. That would be something not very Christian. So maybe you need to change your name to reflect your beliefs, because like it doesn't match up. Hmm. And arguing with people back and forth is not going to open your heart chakra either. you know, um, the truth is just scientific at this point. And if you don't understand that, then you're just not meant to get to that next level, or not yet anyway. That's just how it is. It's just like if someone told you something and you didn't get it, but like three other people did, then that means that message was not for you. not at this time. So a lot of people just have to understand that and not argue. There is no argument. Either you get it or you don't get it yet. But eventually everybody will get it because it's going to start to happen and people are going to start to talk about it more and more and more and more. And then a couple of months later, people are going to come back. Oh, okay. I remember when you said that. But for now, it's not your time to get it. If you do get it, wonderful. If not, maybe study some more or maybe wait until other people start getting it so you can follow along too, just like you do with religion. But for now, the people that are understanding it and getting it are going to reap more of the benefits of it. Right. Okay. Thank you, Phoenix Rising. Oh, I wasn't saying you individually, but I was, saying your name is not very Christian, but thank you for letting me know that. Okay. How are you, Ashira Star? I would like to consult with you. I need your contact. Um, it's in my about section on my YouTube channel page. Everything you're saying to me suits you better because okay, y'all are still talking back to each other. If everyone stopped feeding the trolls, yeah. Oh, the Celestine prophecy. I read some of it. I tried to watch the movie on YouTube. It was like too boring for me. But I do know that a lot of it is very on point as far as what I did read. Um, it's okay. I'm gonna let this dog out because it's about to get on my nerves. Come on, Rico. Mm. Anyway, so the movie was not too bad. You enjoyed it. Yeah, and I'll try to watch it again because it was years and years ago when I tried to watch it, and maybe now I'll see something different. But I did like the part about the trees, how they explain the part about the trees that can talk to you or are a living thing. I did like that part. Y'all don't look at my dirty room back there. The maids haven't come. Anyway, um, so here's the whole point. We were all supposed to be one by now, so there wouldn't be any argument over race or anything. We were all supposed to be one race by now. And since we're all supposed to be one race by now, it's just as bad to argue about one side versus the other because we were all supposed to be one. And since none of us got that memo because it was kept from us, you don't want to lock down heart chakras now that you know the truth. Just understand it. If you don't, if it's too late, a lot of people, it don't even matter anymore because they're so old they can't, do anything about it right at this moment. But now they know the truth, at least. The younger generations will understand it and keep moving forward with the truth now, you know. Exactly. So I had to open something up because somebody sent me something. I had to open up and see what it was. Right. Right, right. Right, right, right. Um, the closest thing you can have to a higher frequency is a open heart chakra. Like, if you're wanting to make your frequency higher than it is already. And that's as close as a lot of people will get to having a higher frequency um, without having large amounts of melanin. Do I consider myself to be gifted? No, I think I just have more time to learn. I think I have a deeper interest in certain things to where I focus my attention. And I think anyone can do what I do. Anybody, you know. I think anyone could be on the same level of thinking that I am. I mean, we have people that build robots. We have people that, you know, crunch numbers. We have people that can build software and websites and stuff. Like, I'm not special. My attention is just focused on a certain area. And my interest is as well. But I think everybody's gifted. Hmm. I know people be like, what should we read to survive? But it's simple and natural survival skills, not that deep. Like, yeah, there is no one book. Okay. If there was one book, everybody would know the answers. There is no one book. There's years of experience and paths that people took so that they could understand a certain thing at a certain time in their lives. There's things that people can who are very observant can observe that most people who are in a hurry are not focused will never observe. So it is basically just your level of awareness that will help you understand what's going on. You can be smart, your IQ can be super high, but if you're not focused or aware of what you're looking at or listening to or reading, you won't see what a person who is aware and focused will see in the same paragraph. You know, I could ask the smartest person in my chat to read a passage and ask them what it means, and they may have no clue, or they may have a very um, you know literal meaning of it. But then if you asked me, since I've been reading this and I understand it on a different level of awareness, it's going to be totally different and more, enlightening and deep. So it's not about how smart you are, it's about how aware you are and how focused you are and how much you want to see something that is there if you seek it. That's all it is. Okay. It's just like, when you send your kid or somebody to look for something like a pen and you tell them where it is and they don't find it, and you send them 3 times and they still don't find it, and you go and it's in the exact spot you told them. It's in the corner to the left of my third drawer in my desk. They'll come back 3 times without that pen. And then when you go look for it, it's exactly where you said it was. But they just opened the drawer, probably the wrong drawer, and looked in. Probably opened the right drawer, looked in, didn't see it, didn't push anything to the side. Might have been a paper over it. They just didn't care enough to search for the item. It's kind of like that. If you know something and you're really looking and trying to find a deeper meaning in something, and see a deeper meaning in something, even if it's not there, and you won't see it, but if it is there, it will reveal itself. That's all that is. Hmm. Religion closes your heart chakra as well. Is that why Jesus has the thorn of crowns on his heart chakra and it's bleeding? Because they shut it down. Jesus will shut down your heart chakra. And sometimes it's on fire. Sometimes it's bleeding, got a cut in it with thorns and stuff on it. And he's going like this or like this, as above, so below. Um, and he has the red and the blue little outfit on, and his heart chakra is on fire. That should tell you right there. If you knew symbolism, you would not follow that dude. Okay. Mhm. So, exactly right. See, and that photo or the painting is not even described in any of the religious texts. But what the church gives you is the exact opposite of what the text give you. So, especially how they describe, and his name wasn't even really Jesus. It's it's just an idea. It's Heru, it's Yeshua, it's any of the Christos beings that came before. It's the same teachings. Okay. So however they describe him, they paint him the total opposite in the church. Even in the Bible, it says, "Oh, love, 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 love," but then they put a crown of thorns over his heart chakra and set it on fire. And then they'll have him in blue and red to show that he's not one, but two separate dualistic energies. See, he should have on purple, and his heart chakra should be open. But they paint him with red, blue, and then a heart chakra bound in thorns and set on fire and bleeding. So that means he never ascended. They're trying to tell you he didn't go nowhere because his heart chakra was not open. And so a lot of people say that Jesus is actually the devil because he can't leave in the Bible. Oh, Jesus is actually the devil, but he tricked you and he can't leave. That's why they saw him 3 days later because he didn't go nowhere. So, and then some people say, oh, he ascended into the heavens. Well, what's the heavens? The cosmos? The heavens in the Bible is just the atmosphere. That's not the heavens. So that's a trick to me, you know. Um, you say, woo, child. Just think about it for 2 seconds. I can say I'm going to heaven and I fly up in an airplane. I'm not in the heavens. I'm in a plane. Or I could say, oh, love your neighbor. Jesus ascended to the as an ascended master, but somebody saw him on the earth walking around 3 days later, and then they go and paint him with a shut down heart chakra. That means he didn't go anywhere. See, symbolism is very important when you're worshiping icons in a building. So, and then if you know anything about Allah, arm, leg, arm, where do they nail him? With iron on his arm, on his hand, and on his feet, on a cross. A cross also represents the ionosphere that he couldn't get through. So he died at the cross, on the cross. He couldn't get through the ionosphere. He tried to leave, but he didn't leave. He tried to get people to follow him. He tried to get, he tried to do right, but still he couldn't leave. As far as this story of, whatever they gave you in their version, but they gave you the truth in the symbols. You know what I'm saying? They gave you the truth in symbols. Mhm. So they put a crown of thorns on his head, it represented his head. Then they put iron nails in his arm and feet, and they put him on a cross. And um, that means he didn't go anywhere. You know, that's why they say Jesus walks. That Kanye West song, Jesus Walks. He said, I made Jesus walk, so I'm never going to hell. And see, Kanye is very coded too. Um, you'll realize when he sings that song Jesus Walk, he says God, and then he refers to Jesus as a separate entity. So in order to say, okay, he needed Jesus the way Kathy Lee needed Regis. Uh, the devil or Satan or whatever is to create a higher being or a stronger being or to let you know that you're able to rise above, and things like that. So, as an example of, how to be and whatever, whatever, he gave a truth but could not leave. So he sacrificed himself for the truth in a way, but couldn't leave. It's very deep. It's kind of like, okay, I did wrong. Now I'm going to try to right my wrongs by becoming this character to show certain things. But I can't really go anywhere but got suits and cases. So I'm going to fake it and give people an example of how to be so they can leave, but I still be here walking around. Okay. So it's very deep. It's almost like, since I know the truth, I'm gonna give it to y'all. Here it is. Here's an example. And if you really think about it, in the story of the angels in the heavens and God and da 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 da, Lucifer was the son of God in the stories. Okay, think about it. Very deep. Hmm. Like, if you think about all the celebrities that have had a Christ-like death, all of those celebrities are surrounded with hoax, uh, fake death stories. Just think about it. All of the Christ celebrity deaths that were similar, the people that tried to compare it to Jesus, are all suspect of being fake. Hmm. Right. Um, Phoenix, I don't put labels on what I teach. I'm just teaching what things are. When you get stuck in labels, you get stuck in belief systems, and you get stuck and you get stuck. The whole point is, do you get the message of everything combined? If people combined everything that they knew instead of trying to separate this into that, into this, into that, they would have a broader understanding of the entire picture. Okay. You're not supposed to separate anything. Okay. Because the all, what they call the all, is all. You can't understand it from only one perspective. You got to see the entire story. You got to see everything. You can't just say this, 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 this. You got to see it all, how it works together. And so, um, the example of a Jesus figure was wonderful, but they gave you the truth in the symbols, that who Jesus really was. Okay. That's why everything that people try to research on Jesus will not allow him to exist when they said he existed. Okay. Because it's supposed to spark your questions. It's supposed to make you think. It's supposed to make you awaken. It's supposed to tell you that something ain't right. And it doesn't matter if you love Jesus or not, because you're supposed to love everybody unconditionally anyway. That's the heart chakra. So it doesn't matter if you love him or loved him, love the idea of him. It doesn't matter. The example of how to live, think, and reason in those stories are very hermetic from the mystery teachings and schools of ancient Kemet. So that's, that knowledge, especially the Gospels of Thomas. There's nothing wrong with that knowledge, but there is something wrong with the image and the story, just to make you question things and who it really was. You know what I'm saying? Sorry. Um, what do I think about people in the world causing chaos and destruction? Are they evil? Nope. There is no such thing as evil. Chaos and destruction is from the same source as creation. You see? So even if you look in any holy book, God is also chaos because he destroys just like he creates in the Bible. But a frequency, now let's think about God as a frequency, an earthquake, a frequency of solar energy, a frequency of 5G, okay, can cause chaos in some people and creation in others. You see what I'm saying? So there is no such thing as good as evil. There's only frequency. There's only frequency. And once people get on a same frequency, there'll be no issues. There, yeah. So get on that frequency, get on the same frequency, and there'll be no good or evil. There'll just be frequency. That's it. Who's the author of the real book of Enoch? Need to get it ASAP. I know, try to find the Ethiopian version, but this is the only one they had at the store when I bought it by R.H. Charles. And so this is the one I picked up. But you can look it up online. You don't even have, like, if you just want to read it, it's online for free. Many different versions. Um, right. They will He's the only one who can beat Thanos. Who can beat Thanos? Shiva? What? Right. So Thanos would be like the frequency that would eliminate people that aren't on a certain frequency in the Avengers. There you go. Mhm. Right, right. Um, I'm about to go in a few seconds, but thank you guys for tuning in. Mhm. Oh, Kanye was wearing purple Sunday. Remember his color on his hair was purple. That's usually what they wear at church on Easter Sunday, purple, because it represents the rising of your consciousness, the ascension, you know. So your third eye chakra, your crown chakra. So he was wearing purple. Those muted colors were purple. They were faded by the sun, obviously. That's why all the women had that blonde sun bleached weave on because I read a funny comment. It said it's like Kanye told all his female choir members to go get the hair of Erica Badu. But that hair symbolizes when you're out in the sun a long time. If your hair is black, it starts turning that color if you out in the sun every day. It starts getting that light orange. You know how the sun will bleach your hair if you out in that sun every day. Um, that's what that was representing. hmm It's like, okay, well, you see a lot of like darker people now wearing the blonde hair, or you see like Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son, got the blonde hair. Kanye was rocking the blonde hair. It represents, okay, my hair will bleach, but my skin will stay dark. My hair will turn orange, yellow, white like a lamb's wool, but my skin's gonna stay dark. So that's what that's trying to say. So, you know, even if you look at certain people on the planet from different regions, you'll see some dark people from India with light hair because they've been out in the sun and then their hair is bleached. Okay. So that's also an indication of, sun, solar energy. Okay. But seriously, black hair is the gateway to divine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, black hair, when exposed to the sun, will eventually bleach. If you're under trees in a canopy, of leaves, your hair will stay dark, like in the Amazon, like in certain parts of the rainforest. Like when you're out in the desert or the grasslands and you're exposed to the sun, your hair is lighter. Okay. I just told y'all why African people don't have blonde hair, because they have trees, they have rainforest, they have shelter. They learn how to build a long time ago. They learn how to build shelters, and they can shade themselves from the sun. And they have clouds, they have rain. But if you were in the desert or an open plain area that was windy and wouldn't allow, to keep certain roofs in place, you would probably have lighter hair. So, like, here's an experiment. Just cut some of your hair off and go stick it in directly in the sun and keep it in there for like 3 months and see if it lightens. Hmm. Right. My thoughts on the church bombings. It's sad that people died. It's sad that people die and lost lives, but that's not the true church, you know. So how people are looking at it as a religious thing, it's not, because according to a lot of the ancient texts, the true temple is the body. So they just blew up buildings of people, worshiping. They said that it's already written in Revelations and Enoch and stuff like that, that they were going to start to destroy the church. Now, when I say they, I mean the group of people that are going to act out these prophecies. You know what I'm saying? Um, they're not, oh, this is what's going to happen in the future because I'm psychic. These are a set of instructions to the people that are in charge of moving people to the next level consciously. Okay. So if it's time for the church to be over, they're going to start making people afraid to go to church. They're going to show you that the church is just a building and push you more towards spirituality, and the truth now, because time is too many people are already woke. So now they have to come out with the truth. It's time. Um, just think about it. A few years ago, people were still trying to hide the truth, in the media, in the news. And then um, crazy Donald Trump just came straight out as the president of the United States and told everybody that it's fake. And he's laughing at them and, making them scramble. And, you know, um, we know that people are fed stories to give the people of the world, to keep them at a certain frequency. So once that media thing was blown, no one believed anything else after that, except the people that were truly, truly asleep. No one believed anything that came out of the media's mouth firsthand, unless it was some weather or something with some receipts, evidence and proof. Yeah. Do y'all notice how now the media and people that are coming forward with stories have to come with evidence or it will not be believed? So that whole game changed when the media was called out for being fake to the people who were still asleep. A lot of those people woke up, but a lot of the people like me already knew the media was fake for many years. It just took someone else to say it that was in a position of power for more people to believe it. Okay. So everyone knows that a lot of the stuff on the news is made up, fake propaganda, lies to make you act and vibrate on a certain frequency. But I don't believe anything on the news. I go and do my own research if I'm even interested in what's going on, because half the stuff I don't even care about. But the stuff that does pique my interest, I never believe it first. I go and do my own research and come up with my own answer. And a lot of people on the media or the writers of the news stories will sneak key words in to tell you the truth underneath the lies. So, very, very, especially Donald Trump, his speeches are terrible because he's trying to code them and sneak in key words. That's why his speeches suck, if y'all just want to know. Okay, because like if you try to read the book of Enoch, it sounds it's not very poetic. It's not very it doesn't roll off the tip of your tongue. It's coded with certain words because you have to dissect the etymology of the word in order to get the true meaning. So his speeches suck for sure on a literal sense, but when you decode certain words, they start to make sense and they give you information that most people aren't going to get. So when you get in front of a camera or you're a part of the media and you're just reading a teleprompter and getting your paycheck, whatever. But when someone constructs a bad sounding speech with certain words in there, you know, that a kindergartner probably could have wrote, it's for a reason those words are coded. Um, right. Hmm. Yeah, a lot of movies have the same thing in it, hidden messages. And a lot of the movies try to reverse the messages too to make you think that the hidden message you found was the truth when it's still not 100% true. So you have to know your history too in order to decode and see the truth and the decoded stuff. Right. Donald Trump has to code because not everybody can handle it. Exactly. And I try to explain Donald Trump to people, but they're so wrapped up in their emotions that they can't even see the code. And that's another thing. When you're wrapped up in anger and hate and find offense to everything instead of looking deeper to see if there's a hidden message, you never get the truth. But yeah, right. I'm not even political. I didn't even vote, so I don't care. You know what I'm saying? So I look at him very different. I look at him as, what is he trying to? Yep, okay, I get it. That's how I look at him because I didn't vote. I didn't care. So when you don't care, when you don't have a side, you look past that. The whole "Make America Great Again" has nothing to do with slavery or white people or black people. Um, mhm, because if you think about it, if they say "Make America Great Again," when was it great? Like literally, when was it great? What was yeah, before it was colonized. That's when it was great. Exactly. And it's red because the red man and the brown man used to occupy America. Still do, but that's what it means. It doesn't mean what people think it means. Um, so because he's invested into Russia. He's invested with Russia. I'm sure he don't care. He got probably a house over there ready to go ahead and move because that's where he's probably going to feel most welcome anyway. His wife's from there. Um, they're the people that also have the truth about a lot of the ancient texts and reflected in their iconography and artworks and things like that. So um, last time I checked, Russia never invaded America or you know went out and stuck their flags in every place in the earth. You know what I'm saying? Um, she's from Slovenia. Okay. It's always best to do your own research. Exactly. Melania, melanin. Melania means dark. So Obama is Eva Braun grandson. Eva Braun grandson. Okay, cool. You heard about there being two Trumps? I think that's also a metaphor. According to the color tie he wears, is how you need to interpret his message. Okay. So, yeah, according to what color tie he wears is how you interpret his message. Red tie, cold. Okay. Heavy cold. There you go. Do you have to use discernment with any information you allow into your vessel? No, because I can decode it. Like once you become really good at decoding things, you can decode them as they enter, you know. And if even if you aren't ready to decode whatever entered, your subconscious mind already knows that you're going to figure it out eventually. You never absorb anything emotionally, you only decode it. That way, it's only information. So it's kind of like you're just not being triggered. You're just absorbing the information. You do not let it affect your frequency. You just absorb the information. That's it. So that's why I can watch pretty much whatever and not have to worry about it, you know, entering my mind because I'm only using it as information. And Sasha, my daughter, is the same way. Like she'll watch something and she does not absorb it um, emotionally. She absorbs it to decode it only. You know, and if she does start to see something emotionally, she'll verbalize it and she'll ask me if it means something deeper. If she doesn't know how to do it, she'll verbalize it to me. She'll be like, "Well, why did they do that?" Instead of just reacting to it, she will ask why first, and then I'll explain it or break it down to her, and then she learns how to decode that as well. So that the next time she sees something similar, then when she gets it, she'll decode it. So it's very important for you to watch TV with your kids so that they can ask you questions. Hmm. Val Alvin. Yeah, he's a businessman, not a politician. His speeches are coded and they're terrible. I do agree, but they're heavily coded. Um, And that's the reason they chose him, because he's not a politician. Okay? He's not a politician, so he's not playing with politics. And anybody who's motivated by money, anyone who's motivated by money sees things totally different. Okay? Because money is energy. Money represents um, an energy and a frequency. So if you know how to make money and you're not a politician, your agenda is very different. Your agenda is very different. So most people that have money, that earn money, that built themselves, maybe he didn't build from the ground up, but he built most of it, want other people to do the same. You ever get around a rich person and they want to teach you how to get paid? Yes. Versus someone who wants to con you and scam your money and lie to you about everything. That's the difference between a politician and a businessman. A businessman will help you get rich. A politician will keep you broke. So that's exactly correct. I will trust a businessman before I trust a politician any day of the year, week, whatever month, because he or she wants other people to get paid as well. All business people want to help you get the secret. I know how you can do this. Let me show you how to make money. A, B, C, and D. But sneaky people that have an agenda that want to control you or lie to you and keep you at a certain level of poverty and a certain lower frequency will not teach you how to get money. Okay. So that's the difference. Hmm. Right. I agree. Donald Trump ain't evil, isn't evil. He's a businessman. Business is not evil. Exactly. So, if he can under you know what the most you know what I've learned in business, because I have businesses. Any press is good press. Especially, yeah. Any any mention of your name is good mention of your name. Doesn't matter. Free advertisement, you know. So Donald is a failed businessman. Yeah, most people fail in their first couple of businesses. I know I did many times, but I didn't stop. Everybody who's an inventor, their first couple of inventions failed. You know what I'm saying? That's how they learn. They're not afraid to fail. And when you're not afraid to fail, a lot of fear goes away and you're able to say what you want to say, do what you want to do, because you don't have that fear anymore. You know you can make it. If you're a lousy president, if people try to damage your reputation, it's only a matter of time before you can make more money, because you failed so many times. You learn how not to fail, and that's the point. You'll find a way to make money on failure. Okay. Um, but your reputation is everything, but it's how you view it as well. Like, if someone's reputation was ruined, you can still capitalize off a ruined reputation if you own it. You see? Nobody's perfect. If you own your reputation, you can get paid still. I mean, look what Kim Kardashian did. Look what Kanye West did. She was exposed on a sex tape and she owned it and made money. And now she gets paid. You know, Kanye West, he went crazy, but he owned it. And now he's considered a mad genius, still getting paid. As long as you own it, you can change it. The only thing that ruins a person's reputation is them not accepting their own failures and growing from them. So for me, I can spend anything done to my reputation. I don't care. I'll spend it and still get paid off of it because I know how to do it. And that's what people need to learn how to do. That's business. That's why he's not a politician. He's a businessman. He can spend anything. And when you own something, like all those people that came out and said, "Oh, I'm a porn star. I'm a prostitute. I've been with Donald Trump." Did you think he cared? So, and I thought I paid her to shut up. You know. Oh well. I'm a man. I got bored. If you own it, they can't come against you. You got to own it. You got to own your power. Power comes doesn't really come from money. It comes from not being afraid to fail. You always make money. Thank you, Tommy Gunn. Any tips for dealing with anxiety in daily life? Um, Write down your future plans and start executing them. Most people have anxiety because they don't know what's coming next. They don't have a plan. They don't have a way to get what they're trying to get in life. Everything causes them anxiety because they don't have a plan in place. So just write down your plan for the day. Start off with writing down what you're going to do today and then just do it. Thank you, Shira. I'm the girl with the husband who said I wasn't his type. Did what you said and flipped it. I said, well, my type is Mark Wahlberg, and his attitude changed real quick. Huh, Maya? Okay. Own it. Like I said. Thank you, Maya, and thank you for doing it. I got dressed up, left the house, and got hotel room. He begged me to stay, got back, and he said I only said that because I was mad. Now today we're going to upgrade my engagement ring and get me a nice necklace. Thank you. You are welcome. Thank you for that donation. See, got to take your power. That's a great example too, Maya. I know it's the wrong channel, but great example. You got to flip it on people. When you flip it, you can get whatever you need. Some people are afraid to flip it because they want to keep the peace. Some people, have kids and don't want to flip it or, feel guilty about flipping things. But when someone offends you and you know that you don't have to deal with that and you get rid of that fear, you can pretty much get what you want. That's all. You know. Mhm. Um, but I'm so happy for you, Maya. That was a quick change. But anyway, y'all, I'm gonna go. Thank y'all for tuning in. And just remember, look deeper and seek. Own your mistakes, own your failures, and rise from them. All you can do is rise. You can't even go backwards if you just accept it and keep moving. You know, you don't even have to be afraid because the only way back, the only other direction is up. Mhm. Okay. Right. Start by owning your repulsive decal skin, colored skin. Yes, I love my skin. I love it so much that I put lotions and oils on it every day. I put highlighter and contour it so that it looks beautifully sculptured. Yes. So I love my skin, Mandy, and I would never change it for the world. There you go. Um, Thank you. We know Mandy just needs attention because she doesn't have any at home, but we'll let her pass. We'll let her slide because I want to see her go bird box in the end anyway. I'll see y'all later.